In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you top tips on how to avoid being scammed by a tradesman. Also, I'll share an experience that we've recently had a phone call about a customer who actually got scammed. So recently we had a phone call where a customer had thought they had called us for an emergency call out, and it turns out they had been charged in the region of £800 for an emergency call out. So from what we can gather, piecing the puzzles together, basically the customer had done a search for an emergency plumber online. We were one of these companies that popped up on that search list. Now, she was adamant that she'd clicked on our link. However, some way or another, she's gone through to a number. She's called this number. Someone has answered. She even said that the person who answered seemed a little bit dodgy anyway, and said that they could get someone out within like half an hour or something. There was a pre-agreed £270 call out, which she had agreed to. However, the plumber who had turned up, it wasn't us, by the way. He turned up. He basically was there for 15 minutes, she said. He must have isolated something. I mean, this is all information that I'm giving that is part information that we'd received from this lady who called us up eventually. He made her pay £270 there and said he would return tomorrow. He returned the following day, carried out the repair, and then told her she needed to pay a further £520 odd, to which she paid. Now, it wasn't until after this tradesman had left that she'd felt quite shaken and that she'd been taken for a ride for something that realistically should have been no more than a £250, £300 job in total for the call out and for the repair. So from what we can gather happened, there's this scam number that goes around on the internet. It turned out she'd called some sort of mobile number. She spoke to this person, and we've since sort of tried to research this number, and we were not sure whether they've diverted this number to our phone line ourselves, because when she eventually did speak to Kelly in the office, it turned out that she was saying this was the number I called, and she was adamant that it was us who she used. However, it wasn't. We'd asked, did this person have a uniform? Did they give you an invoice? All these sorts of things. They didn't. He demanded payment, that she transfer the money, and that was the only way she could pay. So like I say, in this video, we're going to go over several tips and ways that as a homeowner you can avoid getting stung like this by a tradesman, and make sure that you're completely comfortable with what you're paying for that particular service. Okay, so tip number one would be relating to emergency call-outs. We know how stressful and concerning it can be to have an emergency situation with an escape of water within your property. First of all, if that happens, try your best to find your stop tap. You should always be aware where your stop tap is within the property anyway, to sort of damage limitations and stop that leak happening. Yes, you're going to be without water, but it's at this point you will then call your emergency plumber. Now, if you do have to go to online and find an emergency plumber, always, and I mean it, always talk about and find out what the emergency call-out fee is and what it actually covers. Does it cover a period of time? Does it cover carrying out the repair? Get that really clear before you actually commit to asking them to come out, because if they tell you it's £200 and you don't find out any more details, and then they come out, find that they've got to do more repairs and it's going to cost more, you really want to have a clear understanding as to what it is you're going to be getting for that call out fee. Tip number two would be, if possible, if you've got any friends or family that use a trusted plumbing and heating engineer, is to ring around or put something on your social media and ask, is there a recommendation for someone who's used a trusted plumbing or heating engineer? Because recommendations are probably stronger than just going online. Even though we advertise ourselves online and we have many 5-star reviews, Our strongest form of advertising is our customers recommending us and telling other customers how good we actually are. So that brings me nicely on to the next tip, which would be, if you do have to use them online, is check out their review ratings. If someone has anything less than a 4-star rating, I would say stay away from them. We have 5-star ratings within our business, and we work really hard to ensure that we maintain a 5-star rating. So, don't just look at the 5 stars, also have a read through on what some of the people have been saying. So if they are, say, a 4-star, find out why they've dropped down from a 5 to a 4. Check what some of those negative reviews are, because not always the negative reviews are something to be concerned about. It might just be something silly, like they didn't turn up on time. So just have a little read through the reviews, and you'll get a sense and an idea as to what this company is like that you're potentially going to have coming and working in your home. So my next tip is checking the company's credentials. So especially if it's something relating to gas, make sure you check their gas safe registration card. You won't believe how many jobs that I actually go to and that I never ever get asked for my gas safe registration card. If they've got their liability insurance, whether they can send you a copy to ensure that they are fully insured to be able to work in your home. So my next tip is kind of relating to the recent scenario we had with that customer who got scammed, and it would be the invoicing. So every reputable company, even if it's just a small one-man band these days, should be able to offer you some sort of invoice. In the day and age we are with smartphones, invoice apps are readily available. So if someone's not able to give you an invoice, then you were within your rights to say that, I'm not going to pay until you give me that invoice, because the invoice should include the company's address, bank details, all the sorts of things that you would expect an invoice to contain. And also, it is the payment methods. Now, of course, not every small trades business is going to be set up to take card payments, but certainly bank transfer, cash, checks, those sorts of things that you would expect for ways to be able to pay them. And also, unrelated now to emergencies, quotes. So, don't feel obliged to take the first quote that you get given. Get 2 or 3 quotes so you can compare what level of service you're going to get for that particular quote. Okay, so my next tip is really trust in your gut. So if when you're having conversations with this tradesman, something doesn't quite feel right, they're very vague about questions that you may have. Another thing that some scammers will use is pressure tactics. So they may give you a quote on the spot and say, that price is only valid if you commit to the job right now. Don't allow yourself to be pressured into using their services. And like I say, most of all, if you don't feel comfortable with the situation, then absolutely decline and move on to the next reputable plumbing or heating engineer or tradesman that you actually do feel comfortable with. Can I get one of the yeah.
Do you want it in a box or you can leave it?
Can I get a coffee, please? So they're my top tips on how to avoid becoming scammed by a rogue tradesman. If you had any value from this video at all, please give us a subscribe or drop a like, or even drop a comment in the box below.